So, welcome to episode 12 of Ready for the Weekend here on the Plague Sport YouTube channel, the show where myself and Kev run through our 5 must-see games for the weekend, preview them, and offer our predictions, and usually get them horribly wrong. Coming up on this week's show, we have action from MMA, GAA, baseball, and football. We hope you enjoy. Okay, so we're getting things started this week on the regional MMA circuit. We're looking at LFA 112, where they're hosting a one-night, four-man tournament to crown their new welterweight champion. So obviously semi-finals are going to open up the main card, followed by the main event then, so win twice, walk away as their new welterweight champion. It's based in Brazil, where they're going for the first time, and semi-finals are between Gabriel Bonfim, Brenner Alberth, Diego Diaz, and Carlos Leal. The first fight of the tournament is between two undefeated prospects in Bonfim. He's an undefeated submission expert. 7 of his 10 wins are by submission. And basically with all of these guys, I kind of had to go and scour YouTube for some fairly ropily recorded footage to find anything on them. Interestingly, he has the longest layoff of anybody on this card, with I believe it's well over a year since he last fought. April 2019. He has a 5-0 boxing record as well, so while his submission game is what won him fights in MMA, he does have that boxing background to fall back on. He'll be opening up the card against Brenner Alberth, an 8-0 prospect. Again, hasn't fought since June 2019. Heavy-handed, and again undefeated. Not ranked on Tapology because of his massive layoff. Probably the least amount of footage available of him, more so than anybody else. Fought at both lightweight and welterweight, but he's also the biggest guy in this four-man tournament, but the least experienced. While the first fight of these two has these undefeated prospects, the other two in the second semi-final are considerably more seasoned prospects. Diego Diaz, 13-3 on a 3-fight win streak, has been more active fighting in October last year, which still seems a long way away at this point. Looks a solid all-rounder and has great top control. There was fairly damning footage of him getting TKO'd in a shopping centre, but he is the 16th ranked Brazilian welterweight on Tapology, so he's walking into this fairly well regarded and with a little bit more experience on his side. He'll be fighting Carlos Leal, a 28-year-old 12-3 prospect. He's on a 6-fight win streak, so coming on a huge run of momentum against Diaz. Hasn't fought again since December 2019. Scored a win in his only Bellator fight back in 2017, so he's kind of the only guy in this tournament to have had big fight exposure in either the UFC or Bellator, because none of the other three in this have got that far, or even fought outside of Brazil, I don't think. He beat Michal Nietzsche by KO in basically his last fight, who at the time was undefeated. Doesn't look the most fluid on his feet, but he hits heavy from the footage I've seen, even though that footage is quite dated. I couldn't find a ton on this guy to really set up much of an analysis on him, even though that's really not what I do. Stepping down from middleweight, so he's probably going to have a power advantage over Diaz, but basically I'm just going to now bore you all to death with the needlessly convoluted run through of the four guys. What I would guess from this is I'm going to say that Bonfim wins the first one by submission and ends up facing Diego Diaz, and I think Diego Diaz takes it. He looked the most well-rounded and he's got experience on his side, and I think he'll suit better against Leal, who didn't look fantastic on his feet. But this is all basically just from fairly old footage on YouTube. But yeah, I'm going to say that Diego Diaz walks away as the winner of the LFA 112 welterweight tournament.
In the LFA 112, going for the welterweight, we have a 4-man one-night tournament, which will not be boring at all. We have 2 semi-finalists and 1 final at the same night, which is going to be crazy. It is held in Brazil, of course. Where else are you going to put it? So we have our first semi-finalist. We have Albert versus Bonfim, which is going to, from looking at their videos, even though it's very hard to find it, Bonfim seems to be, his submission seems to be unbelievable. I think even with those from this semi-finalist, they seem like the younger part, roughly between 23 and 25 years of age. But despite that, no losses. Seem to be very, very tough fighters. But I might go for Bonfarm just because of his submission. The semi-finalist, we have Carlos versus Diaz. Two seem to be more experienced fighters, but they have lost a few in their card. However, they are on a win streak. We have Carlos, who has in a 6 winning streak. Two fighters seem very ruthless. Looking at them from their videos, it's hard to take which would be who would win that fight. I would probably go for Diaz. I don't know. It seems like he seems to be more energetic than Carlos. If going for the bonus, I'd probably go for the most experience. I would go for Diaz to win the tournament.
Okay, so in our second outing for the weekend, we are going to the Ulster semi-final in the football between Armagh and Monaghan. Both teams apparently have been really good this year. Armagh have improved incredibly according to Kev's notes, finishing third in League One this year. Apparently good up top, good at the back, solid. Monaghan apparently hammered Fermanagh with a young star in Aaron Mulligan. Big name. Their big win came at the cost of their star forward Conor McManus, so he's out. I have no idea. I honestly could have forgotten that these two places existed if it wasn't for Kev picking it this week. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Armagh, because why not?
In the GA football, we have Armagh versus Monaghan in the Ulster semi-final in the championship. Two teams very, very close to each other in terms of their abilities. Monaghan has always been the dominant side for the last couple of years, but Armagh has improved incredibly for the last few years, and I think they reached their prime. From looking at the League One, they seem to do very well, even including beating Monaghan by 3 points. Their forward line and their defence seem to be very stable. Not as spectacular, but something to definitely can cross the line. Monaghan will be down with a few injuries, including Conor McManus, which might affect their performance, as it might be a little more reliant on their star man. I might go for Armagh on this one. Despite Monaghan have slight favourites, I think Armagh might actually do it, and I think they start to believe that this is going to be the championship this year, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, you can tell there's nothing massive on this weekend because we've gone with both GAA football and hurling, and Kev has decided to torture me here with Irish pronunciations that I have no idea how to say. Our second matchup here is Tipperary versus Limerick in hurling. It's the Munster final, and bear with me here, it's being played at Park E. Queeve, I think. Tipperary and Limerick's league display have been pretty average for their standards, according to Kev notes. Previous games for Tipperary have been apparently quite fun to watch, with Clare and some controversial refereeing decisions. Apparently they've got a massive dude up top who's really good, but their team's quite old. Limerick, on the other hand, I vaguely heard some stuff about because I went to college there with Kev. Apparently they have a young team that won the All-Ireland 2018 and 2020. And yeah, I'm going to have some sort of vaguely home bias here and go at Limerick because I went to college there. So yeah, logic. I've got them on.
In the GAA hurling, we have Tipperary versus Limerick in the Munster final. Two teams, again, very, very close. Very hard to pick them out. Tipperary and usually do better in Munster championships. However, Limerick have been very dominant and are currently All-Ireland champions. Their league performance hasn't been fantastic from their standard point. I'll probably go for Tipperary. Not only do I think they might be better, but I feel like this will be their last chance. Majority of their players are well in their 30s. Now they do have a few youngsters, but they're still kind of reliant on Seamus Callahan to produce the goods. But again, it's going to be a very, very close match. If we're going to go for a bonus, probably going to be either a red card. Usually these type of games, there will definitely be some kind of a bit of fouls. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so moving on, we are going from a sport I know nothing about to another sport I know nothing about. But I was scrolling through this week trying to figure out what was on and couldn't find anything that interesting or fun. So we just randomly picked baseball because it's a big rivalry game this week. We are looking at the Yankees against the Red Sox. Red Sox swept them 3-0 in Boston. This is going to be the return set of games. Widely regarded as one of the fiercest rivalries in American sports. Looking it up, they've played each other over 2,000 times. Yes, it's overkill, and it's by 200 games in favour of the Yankees. In total championships, they're one in front by 12 to 11. So, these teams have history. Yankees are 4th out of 5 in the American League East with a 46-43 record. Bang even 5-5 in their last 10 games. Red Sox, on the other hand, top of the conference with a 55-36 record, but are also 5-5 through their last 10 games. Sheer numbers wise, they have a guy called JD Martinez who's hit 60 runs this year, who's 11th in the leaderboard, which is quite a distance ahead of anyone for the Yankees either. American sports, especially like the basketball and the baseball, they overkill it on the fixtures. Like, they play each other constantly. I mean, I think this is another 3 or 4 game run here over the weekend that they play each other. And through, again, just pure guessing, which is most of my week this week in terms of predictions, I'm going to go with the Red Sox. They swept them last time they played each other. They're ahead through this whole conference thing. They're a good distance clear of them. I'm going to go with the team that on paper should win, so I'm picking the Red Sox.
In baseball, we have the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Two teams that don't get on very well. Looking at their stats in the past, they're roughly 50-50, very, very close. Red Sox are currently the best so far in the East Conference, while the Yankees sit on 4th. I'd probably go for the Red Sox, as they're doing very well this season. And for bonus, I might actually go for a bat broken in a match. I have seen before in a baseball match, so I never know what could happen there again. So we'll see.
You would honestly think it would have gotten to the point this summer already where they'd have run out of international football to play, but they haven't. And that is why our final game for the week is America versus Canada in the Gold Cup group stage. Both teams won their opening game of the tournament and play each other Friday night, so the day we're recording this, so we don't know how the second games went, so this could be a bit of a dead rubber by the time they play each other, probably considering the other two teams in the group. These two are by far and away the strongest team in this group. The States have beat Haiti 1-0 in their opening game, Sam Vine scoring, but this is a very, very different USA team compared to what people have come to expect. Very homegrown, quite young. No Pulisic, McKennie, Reina, all out. Which has kind of made this a little bit more exciting. I mean, yes, they're playing some lesser opposition, but there's an awful lot of players that are getting their first look at international football here. Like, probably my personal favourite player in Christian Roldan. Elsewhere, you're looking at Zimmerman, DK, Busio, all exciting prospects that, are getting a look and a taste for international football here in a lesser competition. Canada, on the other hand, probably the third best team in this tournament, on paper behind Mexico and the States. Convincing 4-1 win over Martinique in their opening game. Again, good MLS core, quite a bit of Toronto players in this squad. Some interesting names as well. I mean, Junior Hoylett's still playing. I had no idea. Apparently he played up top in the opening game, and then Carl Larin leading the line. Now, as much as Canada have come on recently and they've got themselves a natural goal scorer in Larin, I still see the States taking this pretty clearly. I'm going to say a 2-0 win for the States here, and they're going to sort of probably pit themselves up against Mexico in the final. They look the two strongest teams in this by a distance, so yeah, I'm going to take a USA win 2-0 here.
In the Gold Cup group stage, we have the USA versus Canada. Two rival teams, but maybe not as rivalry as the Yankees and the Red Sox, but they would be up there. Two teams who both have players in the MLS and in the Europe leagues. Despite USA having their players, they're one of the best players not playing, I still think they can do it. I think they have a better side and currently the best favourites to win. So I'll probably go for a 1-0 win for them.
So that wraps up episode 12 of Ready for the Weekend here on the Plague Sports channel. Let us know your predictions in the comments below, and please recommend us some stuff for next week, because we are desperately low on stuff at the moment. We can only bang on the same nail so often, and we're very quickly starting to run out of variety up until the domestic football seasons start up and running, because nobody wants a 15-minute show jam-packed full of who's going to win that pre-season friendly. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, anyway, drop us a comment, your predictions, what you want to see us cover in the future, and until then, see you next time.